Hello, my name is Lesia Dubenko and I represent Kyiv post at NATO's Foreign Ministers meeting in Bucharest. Today, my guest is Andrea Kalan, who is U.S. State Department's Russian language official spokesperson. We're going to discuss the war, NATO's aid, and many more things. So without further ado.
Скажите, пожалуйста, Андрея, во-первых, очень хотим поблагодарить.
Ms. Kalan, to begin with, we would very much like to thank the U.S. on behalf of Ukraine for the help provided, including that unveiled today by U.S. Secretary Blinken. Nonetheless, I have several questions for you, and I think I will start with this one. At the beginning of the war, a great emphasis was put on the difference between offensive and defensive weapons. Tell us, why is this difference no longer pertinent?
Скажите, пожалуйста, почему это различие перестало быть актуальным?
Well, we can see that Ukraine is defending its territory. Russia occupied the eastern part of Ukraine and Crimea. Right now, Ukraine is carrying out a very successful counteroffensive to liberate the territory, and the US is prepared to give Ukraine what it needs to defend itself and its territory. And we are ready to help Ukraine with what's necessary to carry out this counteroffensive, and this means different types of weapons. It's a very good moment to emphasize that here in Bucharest, the NATO Foreign Ministers are discussing the importance of air defense systems, because we can see that Putin is using winter as a weapon and that the missile attacks have increased since October 2. We are considering different options that we can give you so you can defend yourself from these missile attacks.
Сейчас мы смотрим разные возможности, что можно дать, чтобы действительно можно защищать себя от этих ракетных ударов.
Скажите, пожалуйста,
From the very outset, it was clear that in this war, there is only one aggressor. It is not a war between two individuals who are trying to figure out who's stronger. How come, then, these offensive weapons had not been delivered before the start of the war, even though President Biden emphasized many times that the attack will take place?
Well, we saw that Putin was indeed ready to launch the invasion, and we said so before the invasion. We gave defensive weapons before the attack to make sure that Ukraine would be ready to defend itself and its territory. However, back then nobody knew how long the whole thing will last and what sort of plans Putin had. Putin himself didn't make a good judgment. He thought it would take him 3 days to reach Kyiv. But the Ukrainian people and the Ukrainian armed forces showed that they're very strong, that they're ready to defend their land. So now, just like back then, the US is determined to give Ukraine what is necessary to defend itself and win this war. We hear from Ukraine every week about what is necessary, and this needs change weekly. And it is important that our partners in Kyiv tell us what is necessary today, tomorrow, and the day after tomorrow, so that we can coordinate with our partners and decide what we can give right now to help Ukraine successfully combat the current threats.
Сейчас, чтобы помочь Украине успешно бороться с такими угрозами, которые существуют сегодня.
Still, I would like to note that some of the needs have not changed in many months. This includes jet fighters, Patriots, and some other elements. They have not been delivered yet, and nothing suggests that they will be delivered in the nearest future. Mr. Blinken has effectively ignored the question pertaining to the delivery of Patriots. Why? What stops the U.S. from making this move?
Ну,
Yesterday, during a press briefing in Pentagon, the U.S. said it is not ready to send Patriots now.
не готовы передать патриоты сейчас.
They also said it is not just about sending the system.
Говорили о том, что
It is also about teaching people how to use these systems.
это не просто чтобы передать систему. Нужно и подготовка.
We look at which needs are necessary at the moment. We can see the missile strikes from Russia.
Какие нужды есть в Украине сейчас? Мы видим ракетные удары.
First and foremost, we need to restore the power grid in Ukraine.
Восстановить электросеть в Украине.
This is why Mr. Blinken unveiled an aid package with equipment worth $53 million to restore the system and provide air defense systems so if there are more strikes, Ukraine is able to fight against them.
Украина могла бы бороться с этим.
Вот то, что касается, опять же,
Once again, on the subject of patriots and jet fighters.
связано с тем, что США хотят
Some believe that they're not being sent in order to avoid the escalation of the conflict.
в Украине, в том числе.
However, I would like to know that for us in Ukraine, it's not clear what the term escalation refers to.
Сейчас Россия еженедельно
For example, right now, Russia is systematically bombing Ukraine's energy system on a weekly basis.
внимание большинства
From my point of view, and probably the view of the majority, this qualifies to be an escalation that spills over to the territory of Poland and Moldova due to different reasons. Geographically, they just happen to be there.
оказались рядышком.
Biden's rhetoric also contains the word escalation a lot, and that he doesn't want to let that escalation happen.
Мы не хотим допустить, мелькает
But we don't understand what exactly this term encompasses.
туда, как
So, what will the US label as an escalation of the conflict?
США посчитает эскалацией конфликта.
Ну, во-первых, хочу подчеркнуть, что то, что
The first thing I would like to emphasize is that we need to put an end to this war.
то, что нужно, чтобы бороться с
And we're giving Ukraine what's necessary to combat the Russian aggression so that the counteroffensive is successful and Ukraine has the upper hand on the battlefield.
когда будет время сидеть за столом
And thus at negotiation table as well.
самой сильной позиции. Ну,
However, we can see that Putin is escalating the war. You rightly noted that we can see an escalation from the Russian side.
он это делает, потому что он
He is doing this because he can see that he cannot win on the battlefield.
это видно, когда
It is evident that the armed forces of Ukraine liberated Kherson. We can see the successful counteroffensive. This is when Putin began to missile strikes.
начал эти ракетные удары. Нам нужно
This is then Putin
бороться,
began the missile strikes.
С этой ситуацией нам нужно помочь
We need to fight this situation. We need to help Ukraine protect itself against these rockets and help Ukrainians survive this cold winter. We must give Ukraine all the possibilities to put an end to this war.
дать Украине все возможное, чтобы положить конец этой войне.
It's a complicated process and it will not happen tomorrow or the day after tomorrow.
Но
What is your realistic time frame for ending this war? What do they say in the US State Department?
ну, дело в том, что
To be honest, we don't know. It could happen tomorrow should Putin decide to withdraw the troops from Ukraine,
он может решить
thus
вывести
ending
войска из
the war.
Украины, и тогда завтра уже война заканчивается.
But I don't know whether he will do it. Nobody knows. Only Putin knows what he thinks, how he thinks about.
Путин знает, как он думает, что он думает, какие решения принимает. Но
But I don't know whether he will do it. Nobody knows. Only Putin knows what he thinks, how he thinks about it, and which decisions he will take.
когда мы вместе двигаемся,
What this meeting here in Bucharest has shown is that the alliance is very strong and we are ready to work together when we move forward together. Then we give Ukraine what is necessary when we show Putin together that what he is doing in Ukraine is unacceptable, that it is against all the norms in the world. We show him that is necessary to end the war. We often hear from the Russian propagandists that the West is disunited, that the help is coming to an end, and that there are no weapons in our arsenals to give to Ukraine. Yes, we are ready to help as long as necessary, so one shouldn't be listening to all the propaganda, and that's why I'm happy that we can elucidate these matters on your channel too. We also use our social media so that people can understand the real state of affairs and not listen to Russian propagandists.
But do you by any chance think that perhaps they want to listen to the Russian propagandist rhetoric?
I think they're the only sources available in Russia at the moment. I worked at the US Embassy in Russia, in Moscow, for 4 years. I moved to Brussels a couple of years ago. I know that people receive all their information from the Russian state media. The internet does work, but many of the sites are unfortunately blocked. Many people left, some people took the streets at the beginning of the invasion to protest against it, and especially against the mobilization. Our task is to do everything possible for ordinary Russian people to get real information about Putin making decisions that go against their interests. And that their economy is suffering from the sanctions and many businesses are leaving. It's disadvantages for them, and we do everything to show that.
My question was grounded in the fact that the majority of the Russian population supports Putin. You may or may not concur with me, but the support is most likely explained by the fact that Putin embodies their mentality and their history, because the entire Russian history is imperialistic. It's based on the expansion through the territories of others, Russification, and an array of different developments. How does the U.S. want to build relations with Russian society, taking into account that the majority is supporting this mentality, is very radicalized, very anti-Western, anti-LGBT, and that there are protests in the style of Bomb Washington? So, say the war is over tomorrow, what's your plan for building relations with these people? What is the U.S. willing to do with a society that is radicalized and wants blood?
I would once again like to emphasize the fact that Russian state media exert great control over the country. Independent media do not exist, and people are unable to get the real information. As a diplomat, I think that it's very important to have links between people. For the students to travel and study, and the teachers too, this link between the people is very important in order for them to understand each other. By doing it, we are able to figure out who we are, what democracy is, and why Putin is making decisions against their interest. We will continue to work in this direction. In Moscow, we have an American center. My colleagues there organize events to show who we are as people, because the propagandists portray the West as very aggressive, making it seem like it's not Russia war against Ukraine, but the war against the West.
делает вид, что это не война между Россией и
What the
Украиной,
US started
а это
this
война
war.
с
That the
Западом,
US
что
started
это
this
Америка,
war.
которая вот начала эту войну. Так
We
что
need
нам
to do
нужно
everything in our
делать
power
всё
to
возможное, чтобы
explicate the
объяснить
real state
реальную
of
ситуацию.
affairs.
Does this approach strike a chord with the audience?
We hear what it does. Unfortunately, the propagandists have a lot of resources to portray things the way they want to, but we are still working to show a different side.
Мы работаем, чтобы показать это. И тоже
We can see that the independent media have left Russia and that they are located in Europe and other countries.
В разных странах, и они показывают тоже.
They show things via the internet, YouTube, cable, and satellite TV.
Через кабельное телевидение, спутниковое телевидение. Они показывают на русском языке.
They show news in Russian about the real situation. I don't know how this will develop, but we will keep working diligently to convey the truth to the people.
So you're an idealist.
I am an optimist.
Okay, an optimist. Well, I'm a bit of the opposite.
I can tell you that I have many friends in Ukraine. I lived in Ukraine for 10 years. The situation is very complicated, but I can see that they are ready to live through this. How they are finding ways to keep on living and working. Maybe it doesn't look as normal as it used to, but they keep going to the restaurants, then the possibility is there. I think they're optimists too, because they're ready to fight in order to put an end to this war and make Ukraine a democratic whole country, so that they can study, work and have fun.
We hope that it will be so.
Yes, I hope so too, because I really want to go to Kyiv once again, and I hope that it will happen soon. We need to put an end to this war.
We'll be very glad to see you there. Thank you very much for this interview.